Hello, Halo's Gaming here, bringing you a guide on the new event sites that came out today. They are exciting, they're fun. I'm going to show you how to do a high-sec site, and the low-sec sites are pretty much the same. We're talking about the combat sites. I have a fitting that'll work for this Vagabond does the low-sec sites. I think the Praxis can as well, but the Praxis may have a failure rate depending on things. It's also not as fast. Both of these fits, so I'm going to show you guys for these sites are super cheap, and I'm also going to show you how to find them. Well, I guess we'll start with finding them. So to find these sites, you open up your map, and you're going to hit this cog right here, and on this cog, you're going to find statistics and geography, or geography and statistics. Expand that, and then look for multiliminal storms. And these sites spawn in multiliminal storms. They are everywhere right now. So you're looking for multiliminal storms. The red site, or the red system, is the one that is the like main system, and then there's kind of like secondary ones near it. And then there's another tier of yellow 2 jumps away. So there's a lot of sites here to run, and a lot of sites spawn, and they spawn really quick, and they have a short respawn time. So there's plenty of sites to run. But they're busy with people right now because it's really popular. It just came out today, so there's a lot of people. As after the first couple days of this, it kind of drops down. It's really easy to find your own sites. They're really easy. You fight Sancha, and then you get loot. Only the last wreck is important, and I'll get more into that in just a moment. But once you get into the system, you're going to have to open up your probe scanner. You find that by opening up your scanners here. It is the one on the left. You open that, you get your probes, or sorry, I just opened up directional scanner. No, probe scanner. I just closed it. Anyways, and you're gonna, in high sec, they're called white storm forward operating bases, and in low sec, they're called another thing, and in null sec, they're called another thing. This fit works in all 3 spaces. It's a solid fit. And then, and then there's also the mining side and the discovery, or the exploration side. I may cover the exploration side, but I'm most interested in the combat point of this. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and go into the site. Hopefully, I did just watch this site spawn, so I just spawned the site. So hopefully it's just us, so I can show you guys how easy this is to do. I have 2 fits for you. I'm gonna go over them and why they work really quick. So first we have the Praxis. This fit is less than 200 million ISK, and it's not gonna go above that. I decided to go with autocannons because we can do EM damage, and that is their overall lowest resist. So you want to be doing EM damage, whether it be from lasers, whether it be from autocannons, or whether it be from missiles. EM damage is your best, and this Praxis will work with pretty much any weapon system. You can replace these autocannons with torpedoes. You can replace them with blasters. You can replace them with pulse lasers. You do want the close range weapon system because nothing is really far away from you, so you can be fine on the distance. For the tank, we have a Multispectrum Shield Hardener II ×2, and then we have a EM Shield Hardener, a extra large Shield Booster 2, and then we have a Stasis Webifier and a Stasis Grappler. We have a large compact PB Acid Battery, and then we have 3 Capacitor Control Circuit rigs, all Tier 1, and then we have a large PB Acid Cat Battery, which is the meta, and then we have Capacitor Flux Coils across the lows, all 4 of the low slot, or 3 low slots are Capacitor Flux Coils. We want the positive 10.9 cap with this Praxis because there's up to 25 to 30 gigajoules of cap pressure, and the extra 10 gigajoules of cap provide you enough to survive with no real problems. And then we have a damage control and some damage mods. Your fit will vary depending on your skills. You may not be able to fit the tractor beam. If you can't run the tractor beam, you can go ahead and put it in a mobile tractor unit to get the loot. There's a tons of little things that you can do to improve your ability to get loot, but carrying a mobile tractor unit is very helpful with this. And then of course we're using heavy scout auto repeating cannons. This is a very easy to fit ship, and it only ends up getting about 400 DPS out of the guns with Republic Fleet EMP, which is what you want to be firing. About 472 DPS out of the guns, and the rest comes from the drones. Unfortunately, the NPCs are really hostile to drones. This does clear the sites in reasonable speed. For 200 million ISK, this is a great fit to get started with. And for those of you guys that have high skills, or that don't have high skills, actually for everybody, the tanking requirements are really simple. We need to hit about 400 to 500 incoming DPS of tank. And with a 30-30 20-20 resist profile. So they do 30% EM, 30% thermal, 20% kinetic, 20% explosive. So 60% of the damage comes from these two, and 20% comes from these two. This is rounding numbers. It's actually 18, 18, 36, 32, I think, or 34, 32, something like that. But 30, 30, 20, 20 is easier to remember, and it's really easy to remember that when designing a fit. So getting your EM and your thermal resist is really important, and then also backing that up with some kinetic and explosive resist to make sure that they're not punching you in the hole, which is really bad to have happen, is what's important. And then they do a little bit of cap pressure, so you want a little bit of positive cap on the build as well. The fit that I have decided to do is also a cheap fit. This is a Vagabond, and if you guys aren't familiar with the Vagabond, it is a fantastic ship that has a fall off damage, rate of fire, and shield boost bonus. And then its natural resist profile without hardeners is like 80-60, which is insane for thermal and EM. And then because we're using auto cannons, we can sling EMP ammo, and it just kind of, it seems like the ship is tailor-made. It does a little bit more damage out of the guns, and the guns have really good tracking and fall off, so they end up doing the sight a little bit faster. And did I mention that this is really cheap? I'm carrying 100 million ISK in loot, and the estimated value of this fit is 393 million ISK. That's with 100 million ISK in loot. This is like a 290 million ISK fit. It's sub 300 million ISK for the costs, and this is the loot from one low-sec site that I'm carrying right now. The fit's really simple. We have autocannon, 425 autocannons across the mids, or across the hides. We have a tractor beam to help us get loot. We have a Republic Fleet large cap battery. This is the most expensive module on the ship, and it brings us up to plus 17 cap, making us really cap resistant. And we have a multi-spectrum hardener, a large shield booster 2, a 10mm afterburner, a reactor control unit, 3 gyrostabilizers, and assault damage control, a medium capacitor control circuit 1, and then a tier 2 burst aerator. And then yeah, it doesn't have as much shield boost per second. Its shield boost rate is only 90, but with this insane resist profile, it's got a lot of HP to spare, so it's got plenty of tank. I'm going to show you guys how these sites look. They're pretty easy to do, and go ahead and go right on in, and I'm going to explain some things during the site. So that Praxis fit is on a large weapon system, and large weapon systems suffer in tracking, so they have a hard time dealing with frigates. And if we look at that Praxis, what we'll notice immediately is that we have a grapple and a web combo. If you apply both the grapple and a web to a frigate, your large guns will be able to track. That's really important. This grapple web combo is key to make large weapon systems work. Do not try these sites without it, otherwise you won't be able to try. Otherwise you'll have a really hard time tracking frigs unless you have another answer to deal with frigs. So as we come into the site, we're greeted with a nice empty room, and some NPCs will spawn on us. Assuming that this isn't a pre-cleared mission, which it shouldn't be. We're going to go ahead and start moving. We never want to be at 0 on a beacon. If you're doing these in low-sec, being at 0 on a beacon is suicide. So what the NPCs do is they kind of spawn in like really far, and I could have ran this site and then did this explanation, but now we got another player here in local. We're just going to go ahead and lock everything up. And what you'll notice that they're doing, they're kind of warping off and they're warping back. So you can't kite this. You can't use a long range setup and then kite this. It's not going to work out very well. You're going to have a bad time. So you need to fight them close, because they'll ping off and then they'll land right on your head. That's just kind of what they do. And then the incoming DPS in these waves is roughly 300 to 400 DPS, and it's one wave for high sec. And you got 3 waves for low sec. I'm not sure about null sec because I haven't had a chance to go out in null sec. But you got 1 wave in high sec, and I'm having a hard time tracking because they're interacting with this Gnosis here. I'm going to go approach him because I want us to be next to each other. It'll be beneficial for both of us if we're close to each other in the tracking category of things. But when you're using a battleship, they'll just kind of be orbiting you at about 6 kilometers. And you just grapple and web them, and you'll be able to track them without an issue. It's really, really simple. I don't know why you're flying so far away. So, yeah, you just kind of kill everything, and then the battleship will eventually spawn. And once the battleship spawns, if there's more people in the site, you'll enter what is called a contest state, meaning that we're going to be contesting each other for the wrecks. We're going to be in competition with each other to try and get the wreck here. And it looks like this NPC's warping off, and I'll show you how he'll ping onto us. I went and gave this Gnosis a hug because I didn't want everything to be separated, but you can see that the Hellburst Stormright has warped 500 kilometers down, and what he'll do is he'll land on our heads in just a moment, and that's why I brought us next to each other. And it looks like our Gnosis buddy left, even though there's only two more things to kill in the site. I was really hoping to show a contest. But on the contest note, it's not the person who gets the last shot. It's the person who does the most damage. So if you do more damage to the boss NPC, you will get the wreck. And getting the wreck means you get the loot, and that is awesome. So definitely do your best to do the most damage, and you'll get the loot if you're contesting with other players. But you just basically clear this first wave. It's really easy if you have sufficient tank. And then after you clear the first wave in high sec, a battleship will spawn and all the loot is in the battleship. And then for low sec, it is 3 waves before the battleship, and the waves are a little bit more intense. There's just more NPCs. So they do a bit more damage, and they're a little bit scarier. But the loot in low sec is significantly more. This is 1 drop from low sec, because I did a site before I came here and did this. But this is the loot from 1 low sec site. We got 93 million ISK and a low-grade Nirvana implant. And the extended brain freeze cerebral accelerator has no assigned value yet. This is still estimated at 0 ISK. I'm not sure what the actual value of this, but it was super lucrative to do. I haven't done a whole lot of high sec sites yet, or a whole lot of low sec, but I haven't done like a whole ton of them. But they're fun to do. They're really short and quick, and you saw that really didn't take a long time. And we're about to get the battleship spawn here. One other note is when you're inside this Winter Storm event, we have a reduction to heat damage, so you can overheat the snot out of things. And we also have an increase to thermal resist, which is really nice, and does help us with our tanking. Here comes the battleship spawn, and as you can see, he does hurt a little bit. He should warp off, and then warp back, or he's going to hang out there at 52. It looks like he's stuck on rocks, so I'll go give him a hug, and hopefully he won't warp off. But he's a little far for me, I can't quite hit him. But in the Gnosis, he'll hang out close enough to you, or in the Praxis, he'll hang out close enough to you that you'll be able to do it. And you just kind of go around and kill things. There's a couple ways that you can get to these systems. You can look them up on the map like I showed earlier. And then you can also grab some filaments, and they actually spawn from the sites. But these Christmas filaments, the Blitzen, CMT, Blitzen, Comet, Cupid, Dancer, I can't remember what they're all, but they're all named after Santa's reindeer, which is really cool. And if you take a high sec filament, it'll take you to a high sec system. And if you take a low sec filament, it'll take you to a low sec system. If you take a null sec filament, it'll take you to a null sec system. And then this number tells you how many pilots can be in the fleet to take the filament together. So if you get a 1 filament, then you can go yourself. If you get a 5, you can bring 5 friends. Or if you get a 9, you can bring 9 friends. So you can go directly into these sites, and then if you're playing out around in low sec, you can just hop directly back into high sec using these filaments. We do have a Typhoon that we're about to play with, so we're now in a contest with this Typhoon. So we're going to use our drones. We're going to get every bit of damage we can on this. I would be very impressed if we out DPS the Typhoon. He's using faction ammo. We can expect him to be doing about 900 DPS, but I haven't seen him fire yet. So we do have a bit of an advantage that we've been firing at him for quite a bit longer. I'm going to go ahead and start overheating guns. Remember, it's not about the last shot. The last shot does not matter. We tested this very thoroughly. I was in a Chronos. I did all but the last little sliver of damage, and the guy that was shooting it couldn't do any damage. He barely killed it. I was barely able to break through its reps. And I ended up getting the wreck. So, if we do win this site, it's very likely that we'll get the loot. So, see, we won the site. We're going to go ahead and open it. And in this case, we got 3 million ISK in loot. This was bad loot. I've seen up to 20 to 30 million ISK per site. But like I said, they're really quick, and they're really easy to do. And that's pretty much it. I really hope that you guys enjoy these and get to have fun. And if you build your own fits, make sure to link them in the description below so that we can share fits and have a good time and help each other out. Both of these fits are already up on Eve Workbench, and I'll be streaming with these in the future or over the next couple weeks, playing with them and playing with different ways of doing these sites. But that's the high-sec site. The low-sec site just has more DPS, and it's pretty much the same thing. You just kill the targets and have a good time. With that being said, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe below, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Fly fun and enjoy your time in EVE Online.